much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you because this is how we meet each other, through Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here today. My name is Carolyn Chambers, and I am the Director of Workforce Innovation and Community Partnerships. And also, I serve as an adjunct professor here at Lionel University. So, we are a college, Institute of Higher Learning that specializes in supporting students in exercise science and in the fitness and wellness industry in general. So, we offer anything from, your foundational certified personal trainer certification up to a master fitness trainer. And we also offer an associate's bachelor's degree and now a master's degree in exercise science, which I'm actually a student in myself, which is very exciting. Um, yeah,
Very
it
cool.
does. And we're very proud of it. And I can tell you I'm in it. And I feel like every day my world is expanding in the best way possible. I am in love with education and specifically with fitness education. That's definitely my jam. I've been working in different capacities, social services, but in academics, primarily my entire career. And I've been an avid athlete myself. So I've been running, I like to tell people, since I was like 4 years old. And I actually was the star miler in elementary school. And that kind of started my just lifelong passion for sports. Yeah, and the outlet it gave me, and just it was part of my identity. Fitness has been my witness. It's been the constant in my life through everything that I've done. I did, as an undergrad, a study at UC Berkeley. I was in international law and human rights, did something kind of totally different. I had no idea that you could actually study exercise science, make a living out of it, do something that you're so passionate about. It wasn't a linear pathway for me, but
Never is. It never is.
it never is.
For most people.
But I had amazing coaches. I think that's what it comes down to, especially in high school. They are the reason I'm sitting here today. They were parents for me during a lot of trials and tribulations in a tough home life situation, helped me stay on track, kind of filled all those parent roles for me in a way, and also just were incredible mentors to me. And one of my goals as I got older was I want to become a coach. And specifically for youth, in the high school, middle school level. So I figured if I can become the kind of coach that can inspire, encourage, motivate, support a young athlete, then that would make my life, be happy. My dreams come
Fantastic.
true, because I wanted to pay it forward.
Mhm.
So I've done a little of everything in the fitness and wellness industry, which I think makes me a great mentor now. I've been working in this industry for about 15 years, done everything from starting my own nonprofit in youth fitness, several small business ventures, to actually becoming an elementary and middle school physical education teacher.
Oh, nice.
I started the entire track program at the San Diego Jewish Academy here in San Diego, served as both the high school, middle school, cross country and track and field coach, and really supported the running program from the littles, the babies, all the way up. A few years ago, I actually wrote to a scholarship competition put on by USA Track and Field. And I like to say that writing has opened every single door in my entire life. And they were looking for to advance women coaches, specifically in sport of track and field and cross country. So it was very fortuitous because the then director of coaching is a woman, came out and offered the scholarship competition to start the USA Track and Field coaching program for women. And I got accepted into the program. And she came out, ran the program, and like the last day of my level 1 program said, I see something special in you. Like, I think you can go all the way. We offer this all the way to the highest level 3 to basically
Nice.
becoming an Olympic international coach. I think you have what it takes. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. And it's going to require a lot of different types of discipline for you. But I promise you, you're going to grow as a leader. This is going to help you go to where you want to go in exercise science and specifically in the sport of track and field. So I did it. I committed, and I spent 3.5 years basically going through all their rigorous coaching training programs. And now I'm specialized to coach at the highest level for track and field athletes. And my specialty is endurance. So it's really everything from the 800 meters up. And I kind of feel like it encapsulates my entire life, which has been about endurance.
Nice.
And then most recently, I had the incredible opportunity with one of my longtime friends and mentors to actually develop the military division for F-45 Training Global. So he had this idea, he was a former Marine, about, finding a pathway for specifically for Marines and service members in the fitness and wellness space post-service. How do we bridge the gap? So with him for about 6 months before we even became truly a part of F45 training, we sat down in Starbucks. We worked out at 5:30 a.m. and then we sat in Starbucks and we planned the military division.
Yeah, what is the
And
deal with early morning workouts?
we call it
Everybody
0
does
dark
that.
30. I don't know. I think it opens your mind. I'm studying that right now in my course. It gets everything moving, right? It gets it charged up. And
Yeah. Well,
it's
my
just
theory is that the best time to work out is when there's nobody else around. That's why you have to do it first thing in the morning, because there's nobody bugging you.
and you're half asleep for the half
Yeah.
the workout. So it's like I get half my workout done and I'm not even here.
I'm not quite aware. It's like, oh, where am I now? I'm halfway through.
Yeah. And the hardest work's done before you even wake up. And then I like it too that I can, get an hour or two workout done in the morning and still have time to go home, make my kids breakfast or
Yeah.
to do mentorship or to plan a program. Like you have the rest of your day. The sun's just coming up.
Getting up early is
good.
like a key thing for everything.
Yeah. And my brain just functions better in the morning. I'm like a robot. I start like shutting down about 7 p.m. And so I know me and I got to get up, get it done, get the workout in, and then get going with my brain. But yeah, I had this incredible opportunity to help him stand up the division. So we wanted to create employment, internship, apprenticeship, ownership opportunities, specifically for servicemen and women and their families and spouses that are transitioning out of their military career and into the civilian career. So it was really fortuitous that I got that opportunity. We pitched it to F45. They were all about it. And I got to basically help create the first fitness-based SkillBridge program in the history of the United States, which it's a very big deal because for those of you who may not know, the SkillBridge program is this incredible program put on by the U.S. Department of Defense to basically help servicemen and women transition into civilian life, right? Trying to make that really tough transition from military career to civilian career, which we know is also a very, very vulnerable time, right? For our servicemen and women, lost sense of identity, kind of what do I do next? They've woke up every day given their mission and orders, which they fulfill. But now they got to wake up and find their new mission, right? On their own.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, it's going from a super regimented, structured place to a completely open-ended, do what you want. And it's people hate change in general, but that kind of change must be a massively.
And there's a lot of just issues that come along with that. We know mental health is a big thing. There's addictions. There's sometimes family violence. There's all these things that come up because people feel lost, right? It's like you said, it's that tough change. And so we thought, well, what can we do to support, military servicemen and women who many of them have a lot of experience and a big interest in fitness because it's integral, right, to everything in the military for being combat ready, right? Being ready to go and defend our country. And a lot of people really love working out in the military. So how do we create a career pathway in that? So my former director and I sat down and we realized that the SkillBridge program is that perfect opportunity because servicemen and women actually, pending command approval, can leave their post and do a 6-month internship out in the fitness and wellness world. And they still get paid their full military wages and benefits. Their families are taken care of and they can go and just learn. And that way too, the whole goal is to get them ready so that they get hired literally the day after they finish their military contract. And I have to add this too, it really plugged them in with a new unit, if you will. It really plugged them in with a new community to kind of deal with that lost sense of self and unit. And a lot of those similar things in like a fitness boutique type of setting or in a very strong fitness family really emulate and kind of correlate with the types of feelings you had in the military with your unit. So we really felt like we were plugging them in. There's accountability. You have a mission. You got to go take care of your clients, your members. They're counting on you. They're going to call you if you don't show up. I mean, talk about keeping you on track. And the goal is to get them hired with a great career. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, we get them ready as, kind of entry level certified personal trainers. Some will do some additional certs during the program, but it really is just to unlock the door, right? It's the keys to unlock the door. And then they get started with whatever that pathway looks like. Does it go to ownership? Do they want to, I create an apprenticeship program as well that kind of help them continue with training and education. And it just kind of prepares them for that next step in their life, maybe all the way to ownership. But what's really, that opened that door for me. And unfortunately, last summer, I got laid off with most of the global workforce. There were some changes in leadership and it was tough. And I felt like I kind of lost my identity too. But fortunately, I had been working with Lionel University for years. They were our academic partner for all my programs for the military. And they said, you know what, you're a free agent, come work for us. And I say I was like the little sister because I kept showing up and hanging out with them until they were like, okay, I think
Isn't that what Steven Spielberg did? Isn't that how he started his career too?
It works. Just keep showing up. I didn't even get in the lion suit. I mean, I was dancing around in our lion like suit at Idea World Fitness last year. And I wasn't even part of the university officially, but I'm like, I'll just do anything they ask until I'm like absorbed in. And
oh yeah, she's always around. We obviously have to hire her.
I'm like, I have no shame. I was dancing the Macarena in the we call it the liger suits, kind of a lion tiger mix. And I had no shame. I was like, whatever it takes. But it worked out because, it really ended up being a positive change for me, because I realized that, this is what I want to do. I want to devote my life to helping people get started in the fitness and wellness space, continuing to mentor them with wherever they want to go in that space. And I want to break down barriers, and I'm really good at cracking codes, so I can sift through tough kind of government documents and rules and regulations and figure out how to create a pathway into this world. And so I was so excited that Lionel brought me on, and they're like, you know what, we're going to make a whole division for you because we feel like this is, so they made the division.
see what happens when you just go there and hang out.
I'm telling you, then they give you your own program. And they said, they had just kind of gotten started with a program working locally here with the San Diego Housing Commission that supports families that are, breaking the cycle of homelessness, other issues, trying to become, economically self-sufficient, all of those things. And they were just kind of spearheading, getting started with this program for trainers that want to get into the fitness and wellness space. And so they said, will you run this, and will you help us develop, another program for the military here? Will you help us, develop these workforce readiness programs, transitional readiness programs for families? And I'm like, yes, I can't wait. This is like my dream job. There's no manual, which I also love. Like, some people get scared about that, but for me, I'm like, let's write the manual. Like, let's just figure it out. And so they hired me, and I started working with really built the program with the San Diego Housing Commission. And it's just an amazing program because it's scholarship based. There's no fees for students. And I take them through this really intensive, mentorship program. And I'm the professor of their PTR 2x1 class, which is the certified personal trainer course. And I just teach them through, my times I failed forward, I had successes, what's kind of worked, because I've done it all, and kind of just share with them kind of what it's like to get started. And it's already changing lives. The goal is to get them certified, hired, onboarded, ready to go in their career.
Very cool.
And it's also, it's helping with, increased diversity, equity, and inclusivity and access, right, within the fitness and wellness space. I think right now, currently, the national statistic is like we're 71% white in the personal training world. And we're trying to change those numbers, right? We're trying to bring fitness to every community, break down the barriers, make it a part of, every community within our bigger community, right? And so I feel like that is ultimately what we're doing with these programs. And then now our students are coming back and they're mentoring students. The whole family's getting healthier. They're doing assessments on their kids and their neighbors, and developing, training programs for their families, helping their kids that are in sports. And, coupled with the nutrition piece, they're getting healthier. We're helping to stop obesity related diseases, to prevent them.
Yeah, because we definitely need something there, because we are going in the wrong direction. But
wrong direction. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, that ties into where I see our industry going, right, in the next 10 years. It's twofold for me, and they're pretty intermingled. I think that access to fitness, access to healthy nutrition, and guidance in those areas, right? It's not enough to say, oh, here's a gym space, here's a fitness facility, or go eat healthy, right? Most people don't know how to do that, or they can't afford to do it. They can't afford to work out at a fancy boutique. They can't afford to buy food at, I like to call it whole paycheck, Whole Foods. Neither can I right now.
Well, what's happening is that the food industry is just creating these super high calorie, highly palatable foods that you just get addicted to, and you just can't get off it. And
they're cheap. They're cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. They're cheaper. They're more accessible. And you can, I mean, if you look at Red Robin, they've got like 1,400 calorie burgers. It's like, that's like more than a day's worth of food in one meal.
You could sit and eat bottomless fries for 6 hours at Red Robin.
Exactly.
Keep bringing them. We're like, no. Yeah, so I believe in one of the things I'm trying to do, and this is what I'm doing with my thesis, my project in grad school, is I want to repurpose spaces in downtown San Diego and create fitness spaces using
Hmm.
Conex box gyms, that kind of thing. I'm still hashing it all out, but create spaces, whether it's in a building or it's in a repurposed space, that are free for the community, where we're offering group exercise classes, especially for youth, right? We're
Yeah.
getting them involved, and we're taking my amazing trainers that I'm training through my programs, and they're going and training their own community, right? Let's
Right.
offer more, accessible exercise and fitness programs. And then I want to couple them with urban gardens. Let's teach
Nice.
people how to plant and grow stuff, and let's figure out how to grow it in environments without a ton of light too.
Hmm.
Like, and some of our families don't have huge balconies or have restricted light. So I'm trying to work through some of that, looking at options for how you can actually grow plants in the inner cities, right?
Nice.
So I think that's really important. And then I also think access to, both preventative healthcare and managing healthcare. And this kind of is coupled with my second thing that I see for the future is fitness professionals should be part of the preventative healthcare plan, right?
Hmm.
We should be part of the health team that's helping to prevent people from getting sick. Our model right now, which I think is driven by big pharma, is let's keep people sick, right?
Oh yeah,
Or let's
nothing's
not show them how
preventative.
to-
It's sick care. It's not health care. I mean, people are
It's sick care.
they come at it from the backwards way. I mean, we really need to be more preventative, but it's almost like there's no money in it. It's like
There's no money keeping people healthy, right?
yeah,
There's big
exactly.
money in taking care of them when they're sick, right? And prescribing all kinds of expensive drugs, right? Which people
Yeah.
have no control over what they cost, right? And I think that the goal needs to be preventative care, and that we know
Mhm.
that's a healthy, active lifestyle. We know that's nutrition coupled with nutrition, right? You can't do one without the other. And we need to have, we need to involve fitness professionals in that preventative healthcare with doctors and practitioners, because we
Right.
can prevent obesity related diseases, hypertension, all of these things from the get-go. Then we're not in the process, in the habit of just fixing sick people, right? It's not
Right.
a sick care health system anymore, right?
Right.
And so that's one of my lifetime goals and missions. I realized just within the last few years that this is what I'm here to do and what I want to do. I want to train people, and I want to help my local community and show that it can be done, so that it can be scalable and it can be brought
Right.
to other communities. I think that sometimes everyone wants to do this, but they don't know where to start. And
Yeah.
so what I want to do is show you, what is possible, and share the knowledge, share everything I'm learning through my education, through experience, through the connections with other organizations, because it's going to take a village, right?
Yeah.
And I want this to be a collaborative effort on the part of every community, so nationally we can work on this crisis we're in, which is a health
Right.
crisis, right?
Well, what's the number one reason why people are not doing this, and they're not going to? I mean, is
Ooh.
it just time? Is it money? I mean, what is stopping people? Because I mean, a lot of times, you see, I love the way you're talking about this, because we seem to have sort of forgotten about that part of ourselves. We're so focused on the brain and thinking and white collar work and stuff like that, but we're not thinking about the physical side of our being, which is just as important, in fact, more important than the mental side of our being. So how do we get people thinking more about the physical side than the mental
It's
side?
got to be a cultural shift, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think that if it's cool to work out, and it's cool to eat
Yeah.
healthy, and it's accessible, and you have knowledge and people, experienced professionals telling you this is what we know from the cellular level up, right?
Yeah.
That we know what you should be eating and why, and we make it cool, right? We start with our youth. If you make it very cool to work out and eat healthy and live a very healthy lifestyle as a youth, right, that carries with you, right, for the rest of your life. And we
Oh yeah, but
unfortunately
that's the problem, is that's delayed gratification, and we hate that.
But I
I
think,
want that marshmallow now.
well, and that is, I mean, it's a real emotional eating, right?
Mhm.
Is a real deal. And eating those high fat, it's kind of an evolutionary thing, these high fats, satisfying foods that fill us up because we needed them back in the day when we didn't know what our next meal was or the next animal we would kill and eat, right? It's an evolutionary thing, but we're not living in that world anymore. But I think if you look around, every day there's gun violence, right? Every day you turn on the news, something, especially in the last few days, for example,
Mhm.
there's been just a crazy murder of a youth,
Yeah.
right? Over the
Yeah.
last few days. And I think people are anxious coming out of the pandemic. We've been isolated during the pandemic. And I think that we've fallen into some of these very unhealthy patterns. And I think we all got very isolated as well during
Mhm.
COVID. And we saw all kinds of problems escalated to the highest level, right? People who
Right.
had mental health issues, they were through the roof. People
Yeah.
who had addictions, and whether that's to food or alcohol or substances, skyrocketed because people were
Yeah.
isolated. So isolation is the enemy. I think
Mhm.
that how you the ultimate way that you solve these is by coming together, and providing a kind of creating a cultural space where this is what we're doing, right?
Right.
And it's encouraged from youth up, right? But we have a high aging population as well. So we know like time is now,
Mhm.
like we need to go, but it has to be a collective effort, and it
Right.
can't be isolation. It has to be the opposite of that.
Well, how do you get
So
I think it's turned us into a nation of introverts. How do you get these introverts out of the house, out from in front of their computers and into a gym?
I think it's motivation and encouragement. And I think
Hmm.
for me, it starts with one athlete, another athlete, another athlete. How am I doing it in my daily life? I'm working with every individual student, which is all impacting their kids, their family, their neighbors, their community, their apartment complex, their community within the greater community. I think you focus on, one small bite at a time, right? And
Hmm.
one individual athlete and motivating them. So I'm one person, right? If I do
Right.
that, and now you do that, Chris, and now your neighbor does that. Now we've created this collective movement, right?
Hmm.
Now we've created this collective opportunity for change. I think it takes a whole army of us. It's not going to just be me, but I think we can each do our part. And I think it's a responsibility of fitness and health professionals to do that, to be those
Hmm.
warriors, right? To be a part of that collective army towards this change. And that's how I think we do it. I think it's one day at a time, one step at a time, and it's just reshifting the culture. So I think we have so much we're working against, especially coming out of COVID,
Yeah.
right? We had these issues before, and they are like tenfold, hundredfold coming out of that. But we learned from COVID, right? Those that were living the healthiest lives tended to do better in general, right?
Hmm.
Of course, there were, off-ball situations that happened with other things, but in general, those that were healthiest were living healthy lifestyle, are the ones that were able to deal with that. So I think all those lessons learned from COVID, we have to do something different. We have
Yeah.
to change, and so I do
Yeah.
think it's going to be a collective army of people.
Okay. All right. So it's time to think like a futurist. It's 10 years out, 2033. Are you think we'll be better off, worse off? Where do you think we'll be in 10 years?
I have all the faith that we will be better off. I think we can't. I think it's like a balloon.
I love hearing optimistic people because I'm surrounded
I
by all
am
these
optimistic.
pessimists going, this is awful. Things are just getting worse. I'm like,
I am
no.
Yes, only thing I know in my DNA is positivity and try to make positive change. And my glass is like not just half full, it's like always spilling over.
Hmm.
So I have faith that we're going to make a change. I feel that everything is kind of to this point where we filled up the balloon and it's ready to burst. And I don't know if it's one incident, many incidences, but I think we're going to hit the low. And I
Yeah.
think from there, the only way to go is up. So I'm hopeful that we'll be putting in the types of practices that I'm talking about. I hope that we'll be looking at how important it is for the entire society, regardless of where you live, your socioeconomic, your background, all of that. We as a collective society need to work together to make sure we bring everybody into a healthy way of working out, of being active, of eating, of taking care of themselves, right? We need to do that as a collective whole society. So I'm confident that we can start with these small types of opportunities, of programs, and build from there.
Yeah.
Because each trainer that you touch, each trainer that I work with, and we make this positive change together, like whether it's just being healthier, changing their socioeconomic status, getting hired, breaking the cycle of homelessness, all of these good things, they then pay it forward to hundreds and thousands of people,
Hmm.
right? So that's how we make the change. I can't give you one concrete, exact, specific example other than it's got to be this collective effort to get healthier as a society.
Well, what have you found this is the most effective, like first step that people can take if they want to jump into this?
Yeah, I think, specifically my call out would be to fitness organizations to consider offering these types of programs.
Hmm.
Consider offering a workforce readiness development program. There's a lot of funding that's out there through the government to support these types of initiatives. So I would behoove them to consider trying to open up pathways for
Hmm.
those who maybe have never had that opportunity because of money, because of experience, because of something in life that changed their circumstances. So I would throw that out to organizations to try to figure out how to create more opportunities to train individuals. For us, it's in the fitness and wellness space. So for fitness organizations, there you go. Other types of organizations, obviously in other specializations, but I think that that's the first step. And right now I'm working with some incredible partners here locally in my community and throughout the country to try to show how that can be done.
Mhm.
So I think that's step one, is let's create more opportunities for change. And businesses have a direct ability and impact to do that. So I think funds need to be allocated, resources should be allocated to this healthful mission. So I think that's number one, as I
Yeah.
think that can begin once we get that rolling out. If that's happening in every community throughout our country, right? We've already started that catalyst, right, for
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the number one thing. And that's why I'm so happy to be here today. I'm happy to share what we're doing. We haven't figured out the perfect recipe by any means. Every day we're making it a little better. We're learning from our students. We're learning from the experience, learning from community partners, how we can even make it better. But we've started it, right? We've got
Yeah.
it going and we're
Yeah.
working to try to figure it out, but it is going to take all of us. So I hope that we can start that here, and then, I can support other communities in building a similar type of program.
Yeah. Doesn't it? I mean, does this need to be employer driven? Because employers a lot of times are like, okay, if you want to pay for the gym, you pay for it yourself. You do it on your own time. It's like if the employer said, hey, we'll give you time to go to the gym, we'll give you time, we'll give you gym memberships, we'll give you the opportunity to improve yourself physically. Would that be like a huge win?
1000%.
Mhm.
I want to talk about two things on that. One, yes. First and foremost, let's have a gym in our facility if we have the means, or let's pay for a membership for our employees. And yes, let's give them time. Let's work it into the workday. Let's change it up a little bit so we meet everything we need to meet, but let's give them that time, that 45 minutes or an hour to go and move, especially in the middle of the day. We know we got to move for our spine and everything else.
Yeah.
So, and it'll make
Or in
us
the
feel
afternoon
more-
when you're like, oh man, I need coffee.
and instead of a coffee, let's do a workout. Let's get the endorphins running, and let's get, come back and imagine how much you'd be firing off with brain power after that in the afternoon. You're going to have more happy, healthy, effective workers, right? Which ultimately leads to, a better bottom line, right? You're going to be increasing productivity of your employees and revenue, right?
And hopefully reducing your healthcare costs too, right? Because if you have healthier employees. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, talk about reducing healthcare needs for your employees if they're healthier, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
going to benefit all the way around. Also, something that's really fascinating to me that I just learned about when I was out at the IRSA International Fitness and Wellness event that was here in San Diego is this is now a part of Medi-Cal for some older and aging clients. What a phenomenal idea. Some that are on very fixed income now actually have it covered through their insurance.
Nice.
They get to go to a gym that
now they just got to go to the gym.
Yeah, and it's actually creating a whole movement with our aging population of going to the gym. And second to that, think about the community that's creating. You're a little more isolated. Your kids are grown. You're not seeing your grandkids as often as you like, but you're now meeting your friends every day to work out together.
Yeah.
I mean, for any age,
if I was
right?
retired and I didn't have to work, I'd be going to the gym all the time.
I am excited for those days, because if I could work out like all day long every day with friends, that's what I do. So that's what I'm going to do when I retire.
Don't forget rest days. Rest days are important though.
Yes, of course. And mine are always active recovery, because I'm like, I have so much energy. But I think, that creates a community. And again, it comes down to this collective, power and partnership, accountability, right? When Greg doesn't show up, Susan and Sam are, texting, calling Greg to ask where Greg is. It creates this whole accountability, partnership, collective effort. So yes, 100%. I think providing healthcare, providing, memberships or a space where people can work out for group X classes, individual training at work during their day, it'll bring down their, healthcare coverage needs. Everyone's healthier. It's going to make more productive employees. Everybody wins.
I love it. 100%. I love it. This is great. So if somebody wants, this has been fantastic, by the way. Thanks so much. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn under my full name, which is Carolyn Chambers. They can also find me at Lionel U. At Chambers at lionel.edu. I'm also on social, Facebook and Instagram, Run Love 80. Come reach out to me. I love, I want to be a part of this collective effort. So reach out to me. Tell me if you have resources, share what you know. We got to work together. It's a huge, huge mission. So I look forward to, hearing from anyone who wants to be a part of the effort. Yeah,
I love the fact that you're going after the high hanging fruit, because we're also tired. I'm tired of everybody saying, well, let's just do the easy stuff, because this is the hard stuff and it really needs to be done.
It is the hard stuff. But you know what? I found in life that things that are usually the hardest are usually the most worth doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.